Hey guys, Wednesday, May 17th, a little late today, 4:50 p.m. I've been super busy all day. I was kind of tossed up. I was going to talk about the Christian mindset today, but I've been meditating on something else all day. And it's a phrase that I say quite frequently because it's one of the phrases that stand out from my childhood. Just one of the key phrases that my dad always said to me in all his wisdom, right? And so that is, I got new light switch covers, by the way. Aren't those awesome? Okay, sorry. My room's a mess again. I still got my son's stuff in here. But anyway, my thumbnail, if you go back and look at that, has the quote on it. And it says, "The key to success is playing the hand you were dealt like it was the hand you wanted." And I think if you could find a common thread between all of the saints, that would be it. But it does go hand in hand with the Christian mindset, right? And so, the Christian mindset is one of almost annoying optimism. Like in the face of total adversity, many of the early Christians, like the early church, the martyrs, would go to their death singing hymns and praises to God. They would make jokes at their who is the guy? I always forget his name, y'all. The guy who said, "Turn me over, I'm done," when they were burning him to death. They were like burning him on a grill. And he's like, "Flip me over, I'm done on this side." Was it St. Philip Neri? I forget. Hi, Katie. Hi, Anna. St. Lawrence. Yes, I always forget who it is. St. Lawrence. So, like, then there was other ones, right, who always used their circumstances, like whether it was being thrown in jail or martyrdom or whatever it was, to preach the word of God and to convert people. I think of like St. Maximilian Kolbe, right? That dude was serious. Like they could not kill him. He was in, if you don't know the story of St. Maximilian Kolbe, he was in a Nazi concentration camp. And they tried everything to kill him. Like they starved him for 2 weeks. He wouldn't die. There was a bunch of stuff they tried to do to him. Finally, he ended up basically trading his life as ransom for another man in there who had a family. And so he finally died. But I think there was stories of him like trying to convert people in there, things like that. And so I guess like the moral of the story is to play the hand you were dealt like it was the hand you wanted. Now, obviously, nobody wants to be in prison. Nobody wants to be burned at the stake. Nobody wants to be eaten by lions. And even like, okay, the early martyrs who were eaten by the lions would like put crowns of flowers on their heads, right? The young girls especially, to go meet Jesus. And they would sing praise and things like that. It was so many people were being converted by the early martyrs, the early Christians, that they had to stop publicly executing them because it was working against them. That's called, first of all, there's no way to do that without serious grace. But that is the key to success in the Christian life and just in life in general. And so I find myself like pondering my life today and all week really, and saying, there's things in my life that I wanted to happen that haven't happened, and maybe they will. But right now they haven't happened, and it doesn't look good that they will happen. Dreams of mine, things like that. But in the meantime, I have an obligation to look at my situation and go to plan B, to be flexible, to adapt, to try other things. And so for me, that looks a lot like trying to follow the will of God by participating in the culture war, number one, trying to fight here on earth for the kingdom of Christ. In a social sense, right? But also, there's a lot that goes into that. So making sure my kids have a Catholic education, making sure we get to mass, making sure they understand the sacraments. That's primarily where it is in my duties as a mother. But in addition to that, I have many other things going on. I'm a business owner and things like that. And so I think initially my dream, if you will, to combat communism, quite frankly, was, to get married legitimately in the church, to have a big family. And these things haven't happened. Maybe they will. As of right now, they haven't. And so I'm finding myself, instead of getting upset about it like I would previously, trying to, okay, what can I do? Like, I can't control other people. I can't control meeting a husband or anything like that, but I can control what I do. And so the next best thing is to, make sure my business is successful as it can be, and try to do other things to quite literally piss off the commies, such as owning real estate, building more businesses, things like that. And so I guess that is the difference. A lot of times when you see somebody who isn't a Christian, a true Christian, they have a negative outlook on life. Like, if something doesn't go their way, they give up, or they just develop this horrible, like, poor me attitude. And they won't do this. They won't adapt. They won't play the hand they were dealt. And they I guess, and I think a lot of it has to do with fear. And so when you are truly devoted to Christ, you know that really the kingdom of earth doesn't matter. Okay. So you're not scared to try new things, because if you fail, it's like, okay, well, my main goal is heaven anyway. I don't really, whatever happens here happens. We're here to work out our salvation. And so that is the advantage of being a Christian. But when you are somebody who's not a Christian, you walk around scared of your own shadow, scared to get married because you don't want people to steal your stuff, scared to start a new business because you're scared to fail, scared to buy a home because you don't know what the future holds. And you just see it all the time, especially like among some of these prepper communities. Like, some of these preppers on YouTube are like the most fearful people you'll ever meet. And they're just always doom and gloom and always negative, instead of looking at the situation and being like, okay, like, this is definitely not ideal, but what can I do here to glorify God? Or what can I do here to further the agenda of God and further the kingdom of heaven? And what I have found is when you change your mindset to that, then you receive divine assistance. Then when you align your will with God's will, with his agenda, with his purposes, then he raises you up. And so, it's not enough like the prosperity gospel you hear, oh, you have to claim it and you want to claim all these blessings, and God is so good, he wants to shower you with blessings and all this nonsense. And, oh, I want to be rich, so whatever. Like, it's just such nonsense. No, like, when God raises people up, it's because it's for his purposes, to glorify himself, not to glorify us lowly humans. So he raises up the humble to do things like win the culture war, or at least to make people take a stand. And I was just having this conversation on Telegram with Katie. It was a good conversation. Thank you, Katie, about how I saw that Dr. Taylor Marshall is running for president, right? And so I find this to be like the best thing ever, because he's running on the platform of Christ the King. And so he's going to go up there and get a public platform talking about contraception, abortion, all of these issues that are going to make the liberals lose their ever loving minds. All of the issues that even the conservatives don't talk about, right? Gay marriage, all this stuff. People are probably like, he's going to have death threats, the man. Pray for him. Whatever you think of him, I've had my issues. I don't like how he talks about the Pope, but you got to pray for him, because what he's doing is super brave. But what it's going to do, like, God will raise people up like that. Like, maybe he won't win. He probably won't, obviously. But what it does is it makes people pick a side. And so when you have like somebody like Taylor Marshall going up promoting Christ the King as the agenda that he's running on to be president of the United States, people have to pick a side. And I think that is what God is trying to do. There's a sifting going on. He's making people choose. He's forcing people to hear the truth. And so a lot of that whole telling people the truth thing is for us to do. Like, that's what he wants us to do. He wants us to explain to people so they are given the benefit of the doubt, so they have the grace, so they can hear, what is God's agenda? What are the church teachings? What are the commandments? Things like that. So then they are forced to choose. And I suspect that when that is complete and everybody has chosen a side, then the smackdown will come in the form of chastisements. But we don't have to get into that. In the meantime, we do have to fight it out. It is a culture war. And so how we do that is exactly the point of this video, to play the hand you were dealt like it was the hand you wanted. Now, with that, that takes courage. It takes courage, and it takes detachment, which is what I talked about yesterday. It takes being able to look at a situation and saying, you know what, this is not the outcome I wanted. I did not want to be single. I did not want to do whatever the situation is. I wanted to be married. I wanted to, do uh, succeed at this business, or whatever the situation is. Or I want even like conversions, right? I wanted my daughter or my husband or my family, my friends to convert by now, and they haven't. But in that is the opportunity. So in the praying and struggling for their conversion is the opportunity for holiness, is the opportunity for sanctification for your own soul. So in the opportunity to learn as well, learn different devotions and things like that. So I guess that's really what I'm trying to get at here. So you have to detach from it. So you have to look at the situation, say, this is not, this, I wanted this outcome, this didn't happen. I have to detach from this now, from this idea, and be able to forge a new path, and this comes through prayer. Lord, what do you want me to do? Like, I thought you wanted me to go this way, but the door was slammed. So I need you to direct me in a different path. And a lot of this just comes with common sense. You don't have to have some mystical divine calling. A lot of it is common sense. Like, for instance, like I just said, the commies, what is their agenda? Okay, find out what their agenda is. They don't like private property ownership. So the solution then is for Catholics to own property. Like, so it's basically, if you're doing whatever the opposite of what the communist agenda is, you're probably doing the will of God. Let's just put it that way, at least in the social cultural sphere. So that's really all I wanted to say. Hi, Katie. What did she look? If I knew I was definitely going to heaven, I'd be happy to. Yeah, right. Poor me. I'm guilty of that a lot. So am I. I complain and cry. Me too. Bika. Hi, Bika. It's been a while. I had to detach many times. Me too, my friend. I'm actually in the process of detaching from an outcome, a desired outcome that I did not get right now. And it's brutal. It's very painful. But we still can have hope, right? And so we still pray and have hope. But we have to surrender it to, okay, this is the will of God. And like I said, go a different way. So yeah, detachment, like I said yesterday, I made a video on detachment yesterday. Our attachments really do make us miserable. So most of our misery comes from struggling against reality. It comes from a refusal to accept the current situation because you wanted a different situation. That's where our misery comes from. So once you can detach and say, okay, I'm just going to take everything as the will of God, and I'm just going to go where I think he's leading me, with full faith that if he doesn't want you going somewhere, he's going to slam that door in your face. That's happened to me many times. And then you just say, okay, well, I have to try something else now. But it is our attachments that make us miserable. And that is why, and that's where we mess everything up too. And that is why the key to our success is you have to pray for the grace of detachment. Because a lot of this stuff, like, I can't detach from on my own. I'll be the first to admit it. I need divine assistance. I need to be, I need the grace to be able to detach from it and look at things from a different perspective. And when you start looking at it from a higher perspective, it is a different perspective. And you're able to better adapt, overcome, switch directions, and just follow God where he wants you to go. So everyday surrender all to God. And yeah, I have to get back on the surrender prayer by Don DeLindo. That's a really good one. There's a novena, but you can just pray it whenever you want. That's a really good one. It's helped me in the past, and I really should get back on. I've been doing his meditations too, the rosary meditations. I can't speak highly enough of his rosary meditations. They're actually amazing. But yeah, I suspect that's what's going on. God is going to give people a voice. I mean, look at the Supreme Court right now. It's packed with Catholics, right? Look at the overturning of Roe versus Wade, at least at the federal level, and look how many people lost their minds. These situations are going to keep happening until, like, there's very two distinct sides. And I think that's already happening. Like, people are going to have to choose. Like, you are either for the agenda of Christ or you are for the agenda of Satan. Like, there is no in the middle. Like, you can't say you're a Christian or a Catholic and support gay marriage. You can't say you're a Catholic and support transgenderism or abortion or contraception or all these things. So the fact that the pendulum has swung so far back to tradition is a good indication that that's what's happening. Like, there has to be a parting. There has to be those who devoutly take the faith seriously and who live out the faith and believe everything the church teaches, and then everybody else. And the only way that those sides are going to be, the line in the sand is going to be drawn is by people hearing what the church has to say. Because for a lot of years now, nobody has cared what the church has to say. It's pretty much irrelevant. Nobody cares. There's people that hate it, whatever. But for the most part, people are indifferent to it. Nobody cares about the Catholic Church. Who cares about it, right? But now that you have this hardcore group of people starting to speak out about what the church actually teaches, that most cradle Catholics don't even know, it's going to force people either in the church or out of the church. So it's interesting times. I'm still entertained by Taylor Marshall. If you haven't seen that, I don't know. I don't think I have it pulled up. But there was like a short video I came across of him talking about running for president, and I was like, "What? This is the best thing ever! The best thing ever." So anyway, I have a sports banquet tonight for my daughter for basketball. So I have to sign off here, but yeah, don't forget the key to success is playing the hand you were dealt like it was the hand you wanted. And in that is where miracles happen. And in that is where sanctification happens and where you can hear the will of God. So, all right, y'all have a wonderful night. Joan of Arc Media out. Everybody. Oh, Katie says everyone has seen it. Oh, so I'm like behind the curve here. You've been busy. Oh, so this is like not news that he's running. When did he announce it? Yeah, I haven't seen it. I don't know. I just came across it. I have been busy and I've been trying to stay off, YouTube. I try not to get sucked into it. I've been only listening to like sermons and things like that. I haven't really been listening to any news. We were born for this time for a purpose. Yeah, exactly. And I just want to say one thing, and that doesn't mean so just because God will raise his people up, right, to proclaim the truth, doesn't mean there's not going to be suffering. We're going to take a beating. Make no mistake about it. I mean, they're infiltrating our parishes. They hate us, blah, blah, blah. They arrest us. We're going to take an absolute beating. But it's worth it. It's worth it. All right. Love y'all. Joan of Arc Media out.